we finally know who the Denver Broncos starting quarterback will be for the first week of the preseason. That is going to be Jarrett Stidham, followed by Bo Nix, and then Zach Wilson taking up the rear. But Sean's doing this a little interesting. It's 3 different phases. So phase 1 is likely the starters. Phase 2, obviously the backups. Phase 3, all of the other people thrown in there. So there's a chance that Bo Nix gets in with phase 1 in this game, which would mean that he would play with the starters. Now, Jarrett Stidham's going to play around 16 to 18 snaps in that phase 1. And let's say there's a couple of snaps left over for Bo in phase 1. He'll actually play with the starters. So we might get a chance to see Jarrett Stidham and Bo Nix play with the starters. And people might be saying, I was hoping Bo was going to be with the starters. You might actually see that, or no, you will see that next week, because Sean Payton announced that Bo Nix is going to start the second preseason game, meaning his first game in Denver is going to be a start for him next week. So now we know the quarterback rotation and how things are going to go in the first game and in the second game.
Stidham will start in phase 1, Nix will be in phase 2, and then Zach will be in phase 3. Nix might get the final series in phase 1. We just got to see where we're at rep-wise. I don't want to go through every player relative to the phases they're playing here. We'll be here all night. Does that make sense? Any questions?
Hey, Sean, what legs you to go with Jarrett Stidham for the first phase?
I just think right now, certainly, he's been here, his experience. Next week it'll be Nix. And so, but we're focused on this game, and I would say, just with where we're at.
What's the point of preseason? Is it to win? Is it to have fun? Is it to have all 90 people on the roster do something in the game? Well, what's the point of the preseason? Sean Payton says it's to win, but that's priority number 2. Although it's very important, that is priority number 2. Priority number 1 is to find the best 53 players on the roster, and here's Sean talking about it.
Obviously, the most important thing is the 53 cut, and trying to get that right. And so, but also the mindset of winning anything we do.
And crazy enough, Ini Uwazurike, who was reinstated after a year-long suspension this week, he was back at practice this week and actually getting a lot of reps. Our guy Henry Chisholm thinks he was blowing it up on the practice field yesterday, and could he play this weekend? He could, but Sean Payton thinks it might just be a tick early for Ini to play. But just like Bo Nix is going to be starting in the second preseason game, Ini is probably going to be playing in the second preseason game. Pretty impressive comeback for Ini.
I think it's a tick early. And so I think our plan is to have him work out, travel. We can do some conditioning prior to the game. And then next week at this time, look at him getting a 15 to, a certain amount of plays. I think for someone who's been out for a year, I would regret it if we hurried him back and then he had a pulled muscle or something. So I think it's a tick early.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.